Hi everyone, my name is Ruth and I graduated from NYUAD in 2020, about a year ago from today. I'm currently a PhD student at NYU Tandon, specifically with the NYU Wireless Lab. I first took Intro CS when I was a freshman in 2016, fall of 2016, yeah. Um, and what I remember most from this class is just the fascination of learning how to take something you have in your head, an idea or something you saw online, and take concrete steps to make it into something physical, something real, something you can have on your PC and not necessarily online, right? And I remember it was my first time ever learning how to code or coding. I hadn't I knew it existed, but I hadn't learned anything coding wise in high school and I had no idea. And I remember in the first few classes, it was very fascinating to see how you could basically instruct a computer to do what you want. And the challenge was to think like the computer and have very concrete steps, very logical. There is almost no space for any logic jumps or holes in your logic, where you have to make very not vague, very non-ambiguous, concrete goals for each step that you want the computer to do, and then at the end it does something that almost seemed very unrealistic or very I didn't expect, for example, that these steps would give me that. And I remember besides that being very frustrated because I would understand, let's say, the logic or where mistakes can come from or syntax or something like that, but it would sometimes be very hard to catch logic mistakes where I wouldn't understand where I could have gone wrong because the basic approach to how I'm solving the problem was wrong. And I guess that was the most rewarding and most frustrating part of the course, where I learned how to approach solving problems or approach them in a way you can solve a problem in a good way, in the best way, the better way, but just first finding a solution and then seeing why the solution might be better or might be can be improved, or which way to improve it. I think that's the best thing or the best idea I learned in Intro CS. Besides that, I remember feeling very frustrated because I couldn't keep up. First, I wasn't very fast at typing, so by the time I had understood what professor was doing in the interactive, I remember it was very interactive, where he would pose a problem and then we would have to participate and throw ideas on how we would approach it, on how we would solve it. By the time I had understood what the solution is and what we are doing and followed the code, I couldn't type at the same time and follow with professor. So what I usually ended up doing was just taking notes, and I would have to go home during lab or doing homework, some assignment, and retrace the steps and why we, for example, chose a for loop instead of a while loop. And I think that was a very good learning point when I think of it about it now, reflecting on it now. It was very good for me to go through the steps again and think on my own why we did what we did, or why that step was chosen, or why that loop in this example was chosen. And I guess that's my tip for you all. It's just it might seem like if you can't keep up by typing, that you might be lagging behind. Some people type fast, some people already have some experience with coding, some people even skip the class and go into advanced classes. But how I approached it was just, for me, I needed to understand why we do these steps, and then learning the coding part, the syntax, that I could read up on and do again, and that came through practice. So Intro CS, that's what Intro CS means to me, I guess. It's the first class I learned how to approach and solve a problem, and I think I'm very happy I learned that in an intro class. It's the big picture was to learn how to basically approach the harder classes where the solution might not be as clear. Besides that, my other advice would be to go to office hours. Yes, it is very nice to tackle a problem, and it's very, very rewarding when you can solve it at the end. But I would also say, if you've been going at something and it's been very, very frustrating to find the solution, use your resources. Don't be afraid to go to office hours. Professors were very welcoming. I remember Professor Zaki was very, very welcoming. I remember in our final project with my teammate, we were staring at the project and the code, and it was very long code because it's the final project, for hours. I don't remember how long, but hours. And we were able to find the problem in about 10 minutes in office hours. And it doesn't mean office hours will give you solutions, but the guidance was pretty nice. And it was that encouragement, the push to go on in office hours also was pretty nice. And what I would say to everyone who doesn't think that they are like good enough, or some people are already so good at this, how can I catch up? That's a thought I had for a while, because not only was my first time coding, I also wasn't fast enough in typing, nonetheless coding, and it felt like I was lagging behind before even the class started. But I would say don't let that stop you. That might be true. Some people might have had more experience, but as long as you have that rewarding feeling of achievement when 5 lines of code, 10 lines, 100 lines, however many lines of code you have, when that works and you achieve that goal, that little dot moves, a circle moves, or something like that, if that is rewarding to you, please do not stop pursuing CS. Yes, it is a tough course, and it might seem like everyone is just very good at it already in just for an intro class, but know that as long as you enjoy the learning process, I would say personally, it was very, very rewarding at the end.